Oh, great. All right. Awesome. I'll say that again. 5 simple strategies to overcome your body's age limitations. So it was interesting that I had this as a topic. Now, we usually do these a month out. And I know we didn't do necessarily hot seats yet, but something just in the last, probably in the last maybe month, last couple of weeks, especially over Easter, where my brother-in-law, who's 59, he suffered a heart attack. So he had a heart attack, and just in a nutshell, to share with you, it was a widowmaker. And how it works with the widowmaker is you either die or you live, pretty much. It's a 10% chance of living. So with that, if you have, what happens when you have a heart attack, the blood flow stops. And real quick, in a nutshell, there's a top valve and a bottom valve. And the top valve in his condition was 90% blocked, and the bottom was 100% blocked. Now, he knew because his father had passed away in his late 40s, so he already knew there was some heart conditions there. But point is I remember, and I remember going to his house. This was over Easter weekend, so it was Monday. We went over. He did fine in the surgery. They did a stent in. Long story short, he recovered. Now, check this out. Now he's back in the hospital. Now he has a gallbladder issue. So if I could get some prayers through down the road, just praying for my brother-in-law, Brian, I'd really appreciate it. But with that, I would just say is now he's only 59. So I know some of you are older, maybe a few of you are younger. And one of the things I wanted to just talk about is body age limitations. And we have certain limitations, right? Obviously, as we get older, we're not going to be like in our 20-year-old body, right? Like there's certain things I know I can't do in my now later 40s that I could have done and did do when I was in my 20s. I remember my 40th birthday, I was jumping over tires. Now, I'm not going to probably jump over tires now, about 10 years later. It's just not really where I'm at. But I wanted to just chime in and really make this training. And I want this to be open discussion tonight. I know I say that. This is not so much of a training, so to speak, as more of, I want to get you guys just thinking outside the box and thinking broader picture for your health. I know a lot of times it's like we're focused on the scale, we're focused on the scale, we're focused on the scale. We want to lose weight. We want to see and I get it. Those are all great things. But really tonight, I want to just maybe go a little broader and a little bigger picture, because I know that we sometimes put the limitations on ourselves, and then we also sometimes have limitations that we just don't have control over, like maybe a heart attack, right? But we can do our things. Here's the beautiful thing. He's been working out all for probably this past year, really working on his health over the lockdown. And when the gyms opened up, I see him, he was at LA Fitness, he was doing the gym thing. And he dropped about 20 pounds. He started changing habits. That's truly what kept him alive. I'm just telling you guys, like the God's honest truth. It's exactly, I saw that firsthand basis. Now he has gallbladder stuff going on and he's doing okay. He just came home. So one of the things as we get into this, I want to share not only my perspective from what I've seen from working in a nursing home all the way in through rehab, but also I brought, and if you see I don't know where he's at in your Zoom, but Luch, who's been on here before, welcoming my special guest. Luch and I we've been, I say we've developed a relationship where we've got a bit of a bromance going on, I should say. I met him. He's my business coach, Venture, you heard me refer to often, and that's his father. And Luch has been on here. He's done some spiritual trainings for us, and he's actually a coach of mine as well. We meet on a weekly basis, and really, it's an honor for him to be on tonight. I'm grateful for him. Luch and I meet up on a weekly basis, but one of the reasons why I wanted him on tonight is, and I want to introduce you, is not only he's been a pastor for 19 years. He's also been in more of a spiritual ministry, helping souls, roles, and goals with people, men and businessmen, specifically younger businessmen. And one of the things that has attracted me to him is not only his faith, but also his desire to keep healthy, no matter what. And he's in Canada, and it's a bit stricter and tougher. There's things going on there that we don't see here in the States, and hopefully won't. We're not going to talk about that tonight, but it's more so just to share. I got inspired when I see him doing his walks. He calls it his anti-COVID walks, just to stay healthy and fit. And I wanted Luch to come on here to just share his encouragement, inspiration, as well as his experience just over the season of life that he's in, and how valuable it's been for him to make his health a high priority. So with that, I'm really excited. It's a great show up tonight. Is it because you guys were wondering what happened to me on Facebook today or what? So I don't know honestly what happened, but I'm right now we're on like we've got you've probably heard people being in Facebook jail. I just call it Facebook vacation. I'm going to reframe it. They gave me a vacation from Facebook, maybe for a day or two, hopefully not longer. But again, you guys have all full access to me through the app. You also have my cell phone number, right, as well. You can potentially get in touch with me that way, but do all through the app. So let's get into it. Luch, welcome to tonight's training. Just wanted to, do you have any initial thoughts and any initial words? I always love, Luch has always these, he has these little phrases, these acronyms. Maybe he doesn't have one yet. I'm putting him on the spot, and that's okay. You got any starting words? Let's get your mute off.
Mark and I talk over each other. It's fun. No, I'm just happy to be here. I wish actually my wife could be here. I just turned, I'll be turning 68 in a couple of weeks, and my wife turned a number just below me the other day, and she's a cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor, and 19 years later, she's still with us. I like to say all healing is temporary. Like at some point, we get an upgrade to heaven, right? So away we win. But it's nice to stay around your loved ones. So, no, I'm happy to be. Actually, my wife and I had the privilege a couple of years ago of speaking in Orlando at the FAI called the Functional Aging Institute, and it was several hundred personal trainers type people, and the whole focus was how do we help people grow older, not grow older and bolder rather than get older, and so play on the word grow old versus get old. So I'm here because I love the idea of growing older, not getting older, and doing life by design, not life by default. And that includes our fitness. I'm not a naturally skinny guy. I come from a running background, but over the years, I've battled. I've never gotten excessively overweight, but I have constantly something I have to keep my eye on it. I've walked 600. I was just calculating it before the call. 672 kilometers since January the 1st. And I live in Toronto, Ontario, so it was really cold here in the dead of winter from January the 1st. I couldn't go to the gym when I have no gyms open. I have a couple of barbells. I do some push-up stuff that Mark's taught me and a couple things, but I just made do with what I had. I had ropes. I use ropes. My wife says, what are you doing? You're going to hang yourself? Like ropes. Some days, you know what? Seems like a good idea. There's a walker over there. I see a walker. So
Leslie, yeah, that's great.
And I walk. Before I came on the call, I had a quick shower, but I walked 8 kilometers. You guys have to translate kilometers to miles. I don't know. But anyways, that's so yeah. I have a few thoughts to share as Mark opens up the discussion a little later.
Great. Thanks, Luch, and welcome. I wanted to start with this.
By the way, I'm the father. I'm married 45 years, father of 3 adult sons, 3 daughters in love, and 7 grandkids. So we got a busy life here.
Yeah. So it's valuable for you to stay pretty healthy, I would say. It's safe to assume. Yeah. Okay, cool. So as we get into this, I have a question for you. Now, if you're able to, and you can put it down in the chat, it'll be great. I'm going to have you guys participate, and I want you to be as open and honest as you want. I have a list of the top 10 fears of aging. So before we get into the body's age limitations, I'd love to know what you fear most. And if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to put it. But I mean, I would say for me, just because I'm the physical guy, one of my things is my physical ability. It's my ability to do things. So I'd love for you guys to know, and it could be not related to fitness. It could be financial, it could be independence. It could be a number of things, but throw down if you guys feel comfortable and just putting in there. I'm going to share the top 10. I actually looked up a study, and they did over seniors over 55. And I'm thinking to myself, seniors over 55? I'm not that far away from that, like 6 years away. Oh my goodness. And you're thinking, wait, no, 65. No, this is seniors. They said over 55, the 10 fears of aging. So I'd love to know, okay, so who put that in there? So dementia, what else? Anybody else? Being able to keep moving, Cool. Haven't really thought about fear getting older. I love it. I like that. Anybody else put in there? Yeah. And does anybody know what the number one thing is? And the number one thing, check this out. You're not even gonna, I didn't know this until I looked it up. Oh, Sherry's coming back in. Loneliness. There you go. You hit it right there. Loneliness. That's the number one fear. Over 27% of people, adults, senior adults said fear of loneliness. And I would say that's definitely, I haven't had to think about that much. It's definitely something for me that I was thinking, but the top 10, and then 2 and 3 are fear of safety and access to health services and stuff. So obviously that's a big one even now. So, but the top 10 fears of aging, let's just go in there, just talk about that just for a moment. Number 1, loss of independence. Number 2, declining health. Number 3, running out of money. There's one. Number 4, not being able to live at home. And I'm going to touch on a couple of these because I have 2.5 years working full-time in a nursing home. It was subacute rehab. I did physical therapy in a rehab setting. So I'm just going to touch base on just some thoughts there before we jump into 5 strategies. So not being able to live at home. Number 5, death of a spouse or other family member. Number 6, inability to manage their own ADLs, which is activities of daily living, right? Like getting up and showering and changing and things like that. Now, I know as you guys are hearing these, maybe some of you have parents who you're helping out now, or maybe in their later stages of life. And maybe some of these things are already resonating with you because you're maybe have that as part of your focus. That's maybe focusing on a family member that's making it a little bit harder for you to focus on you. So that's why I wanted to really bring this up. Number 7, not being able to drive. I have a quick little story on that. Number 8, isolation of loneliness. Number 9, strangers caring for them. Nursing home, you get a lot of strangers. I saw people that had strangers caring for them all the time. And number 10, fear of falling and getting hurt. So those are the 10 things. They all sound pretty legit, right? Those are things that, for the most part, yeah, I get that. So I just wanted to touch just the loss of independence. I know we try to get fit, we want to look good, and we want to be able to be active and do all those things. But did you ever think about on the other side of just losing your independence? Like that's one thing that I think is a bit scary for me. I think when you're used to being independent, being able to do pretty much what you are able to do, you can get up and you can go. But I can tell you that was one of the biggest things, aside from loneliness, when you have somebody that comes in, maybe a nursing home or you go into assisted living and you think of, and I know this is like maybe a little bit dark to start off, but I'm going to encourage you as this maybe is a good, again, broader picture for tonight's, I say training or discussion. But just the loss of independence and loneliness is something that we don't think about too much. We think about, okay, like if you've had some hip replacements or maybe a knee replacement, so you're out for a back injury, or maybe you had a certain limitation. I know like for my son who's 17, who hurt his knee, tore his ACL, he lost a bit of his independence even at 17. But think of that when we get older. It's not like when, say, we're in our 80s, is that we are going to get it back, so to speak, right? That's at a point where maybe we lose the ability to drive. They say, I'm sorry, Mr. Avens, we're going to have to take your keys because you're not safe to drive anymore. Like there's something that's taken away. The reason why I say all those things is I want to help you overcome that, or at least prolong it as long as possible. Now, obviously there's certain things that I'm not the expert when it comes to the mental changes, because you may lose it here. And I always ask this question, and I don't know where you guys would fall. It'd be an interesting discussion maybe outside of tonight's training is, would you want to lose your physical ability or your mental ability? So that's an interesting topic. Would you say physical? Would you rather like not be able to physically do things when you get older? Or would you actually prefer to have the mental gone and your physical be fine? Which would you guys prefer? Put it down in the chat. That's an interesting one, right? Physical or mental? Which one would you rather not have when you get older? It's a hard decision. Yeah. Dementia. Yeah. And I've worked, I think, for a family member. So the way I see it, and you can put down there if you're like, oh man, you're making us think a lot tonight. I say for the family, it's harder to see your loved one lose their mental, I think, more so than their physical. That's just me. That's my opinion. I've seen it. I've worked with it. I've seen how it's torn families apart and I have mental illness in my family and even some younger ages. That was really hard. Physical, it's kind of like expected, right? So those are some things. Just again, I wanted to bring that up because no matter how hard you try, things are still going to come up as we age. The aging process is 100%, 100% chance we're all going to die at some point. But while I say that, the strategies, I said, you're like, well, I thought we were coming on here for strategies to overcome body's age limitations. Yes, we're going to talk about that. And I have 5 simple strategies. The first one, so let's jump into the first one and let's have a little open discussion, is first and foremost, you got to believe in yourself enough. You got to believe in yourself enough. Here's what I mean by that. There's one thing I hear people all the time is like, Mark, I've been struggling for the last 20, 30 years with my weight, my health. I can't get it together. So there's a belief that that's about as best you're going to get. So the reality is if you feel that you're at your ceiling, at your maximum capacity, your maximum level, you're still getting older, which means it's only going to get worse, right? Like if you think of it in those terms. So I want to just encourage you and maybe even push you a little bit as your coach is to have a little more belief in yourself. Does it mean it has to be 100%? No. In fact, I want you to take some of my belief because I believe in you. I had a 104-year-old patient. Maybe you didn't, but I was able to see somebody who was 104 get off from breaking her hip to getting back up into walking at 104 years old. So I'm not saying that that's the possibility for all of us. I'm just saying that that's something that should be encouraging, meaning like there's a belief. If you see other people succeeding, you see other people losing weight, getting in better shape, the first and foremost thing is to actually believe in yourself enough. Now, what is enough? A little bit more each day. That's it. If you can believe in yourself a little bit more each day, despite maybe not the scale changing the way you want, or maybe not getting in the workouts at the end of the week and you had 4 scheduled and you only did 2, or maybe you went off track a little bit. It's like, okay, that might not have happened ideally, but if you stop believing in yourself, then guess what happens? Not only are you getting older, you give up. And that's where it comes to, then you just stop caring. And I don't want you to stop caring. I want to encourage you to believe in yourself enough to know that that's why we're joining here. And that's the part of this. I told you the number one thing for fear of getting older is loneliness. Well, I also think that that's when it comes to trying to improve yourself. It's way harder to improve yourself by yourself. I want to ask Luch, but Luch, why did we get connected? I know this is not related necessarily to physical because you're not my fitness coach, but why did we get connected?
Oh, well, through we actually connected at an event of like-minded people who wanted to grow their businesses, grow their characters, grow their souls, roles, and goals. So, and we had something in common around faith. You and I, our faith jived, and we had an energy that we both felt. I felt. What am I missing? Is there something else?
No, it's it. And here's the thing: is that I'm in a different place on a spiritual. I'm saying this related to on a spiritual level. Is I'm in a different place in this season now because I teamed up with Luch about 8 months ago, 8 months ago, and teamed up with him because I saw a wisdom in him. I saw experience in him that he had and to offer, just as you guys are in this group. Of course, yes, you're relying on me to help you with your fitness and help you with your weight loss. But also there's got to be a believability. You guys believe in me enough that I can help you succeed, right? And my goal is to actually turn that belief over to you so you can believe in yourself enough that not only that you reach your goals, because my goal is not just to help you lose weight. My goal is to help you become the absolute best you can be right now in this season and in the next season, next year, and the next year, despite what's coming, because something might come like a widowmaker, right? Something might come like a death in the family, or you have to take care of a family member, or you get thrown off course with your work, or something happens in a relationship. So those things are going to come. But again, it's a lot easier to go through and believing. Like I have a faith in God and I have a belief in God, but can I tell you how much Luch has helped me grow at a spiritual level? Because I believe in my faith, but also believe in Luch to help me get there, help me grow my soul's roles and goals, right? And that's as your coach for your health and fitness. As far as your body's age limitations, one of the things I see as a trending theme throughout this world is that we get to a certain age, and I feel like because maybe we're limited is in our bodies and we don't believe in ourselves enough, is that we're just, that's it. I guess that's the best we got. And I feel like some people are living in their 40s as if they were in their 60s, and in their 60s feeling like they're in their 80s. So as you do this, and I think a big and reason why I'm spending the most time on this is that a lot of times it comes to a belief. And when you try to go through it on your own, you guys don't even understand. I think that's why Facebook kind of put a hold on stuff. We talk to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people on a weekly basis. I'm connecting, and I have my assistant helping me organize, Michael, and help me organize. And I talk to people, and the resounding thing is that they don't believe in themselves enough. So again, I'm going to encourage you, if you don't yet, is that you get it not just from me, but you get it from others in the group. You show up, you participate, you do the things. It's not going to be perfect, but it is going to be progress. Now, number two, we're going to jump into, and this is the second strategy, is to be active almost every day. So I'm going to be specific and say that again, be active almost every day, right? If I were to tell you to be active every day, what's going to happen? You're going to miss a day, and then you're going to say, oh, man, I did it again. I missed it. Or at the end of the week, oh, I only did 3 workouts, not 4. Oh. And then guess what's going to happen? Then you're going to feel like that wasn't enough. You didn't do enough. You didn't work out enough. I'm going to tell you that being active almost every day is really important, because almost, right? Almost, it's kind of not a really positive word. When you're active almost every day, your intentions are like our food, 80-20 rule, right? You guys got to be eating healthy. We're not getting into the food so much as the exercise, but the food part is our 80-20 rule, 80% of the time, right? If we're eating healthy food 20% of the time, how much results are we going to get? 20% results, right? It's like, again, same thing with exercise. Do I work out every day? I say to Luch, do you work out every day? Luch, I don't know if he's listening now. Do you work out every day?
What? Yeah, I work out. You know what? I should miss a day, but I never do. I never miss a day. Honestly, I don't like to miss a day. Working out isn't an issue for me anymore. It's my default. When I'm
It's
down,
a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle.
But if
not
you miss
issue.
a day, do you beat yourself up?
I have to work at giving myself permission to rest, to take a day off.
Good. So you're going to want to know the one down the road and number 4 when we get to that one. But active wise. So here's what I say by being active, and I think Lucho agree, is he's not necessarily doing a physical workout every single day, but he's being active every day. And I would say ideally. So the reason why I said this, be active almost every day, is it's okay to just have a chill, like to have a break on a Thursday or on a Tuesday or on a Sunday, right? The problem is we're not usually, you're thinking to yourself, man, I give myself too many breaks, right? We usually fall in one of 2 patterns. We get into exercise and feel like that's going to be the trick. We're going to just work out and work out and work out and work out. And honestly, it isn't. When it becomes a lifestyle, it becomes just second nature. But then you're able to take a day off, because a break is okay. It's same thing with your food. Why do I say, hey, enjoy a meal out, enjoy a little bit of wine or a bottle of beer or some dessert every once in a while? The problem is it's not the one time you have it or 2 times you have it. It's when it becomes more of an 80% of the time, right? It's kind of like when we exercise. If we're exercise 20% of the time, we're only going to get 20% of those results. So that's number 2. Number 3 is, here's one. So the strategy for this third one is to tackle your weakness. What's your weakness? So, and I say not necessarily physical weakness, your body's age limitations. What are some of the limitations that come up with our bodies over time and age? Like, we could just rattle them off. Drop them down in the chat. Let's see if you guys are awake and can participate. Drop them down in the chat below there. Just pop it in there for me. What are some limitations? Oh, we got knees. All right, got it. Okay, knees. What else? Time, joint issues. Yep. Anything else? Back issues, hips. Yeah, like these are common things, right? So how do we address those? How do we tackle your weaknesses? You're like, we ask you, Mark, right? You're like, oh, you tell us what. Well, here's what you do. You don't avoid them. You don't avoid them. The worst thing, I had a woman one time when I was training, personal training in Ponte Vedra when I first moved here in '02. And I'll never forget, she had some really, really bad arthritis and in her knees. And she said, Mark, I'm going to need knee replacements. And I said, okay. Okay. So she's like, so we got to be careful on my knees. And I said, well, why? I mean, this is like sort of a joke. I said, well, why? If they're going to take them out and put new ones in, why do we have to be careful on them? If anything, we actually have to be careful not to leave them alone right now, get the muscles as strong as we can. So we proceeded to do a leg exercise, a wall sit. And I'll never forget because she couldn't do squats because it literally was like a bag of popcorn popping. And we did wall sits and we did wall sits and we did wall sits. And it was kind of boring. But I'll tell you, when she had her knee replaced, she had one done and then she had the other done. And when she did it, she was so glad that she spent the time doing the boring wall sits because they helped her in her recovery. So that's just one example of weakness now. I know a lot of us sit now. A lot of us sit. We're in this position, sitting like I'm doing right now. And the weakness be that you may have a weak back or you may have stiff legs and your stiff hips. Yet you're going to get up and go exercise and not do any stretching, skip out on the foam roller, not take your time warming up properly. Those are things that are becoming your weaknesses because you're only focused on the workouts. So can we just put a hand up? I'll be the first one to do it. Is sometimes I just bail out on all the stretching and flexibility work, but I really know that it's important for me. Yeah. Like, can we all admit that? I mean, I'm admitting it too. I shared a video. Can I just confess for a moment? And this is another reason why I'm saying tackle your weakness, because you can tackle it, but you got to address it. I would say is the being active almost every day could be even the almost as far as when you don't exercise is to be thinking, what's my weakness now? What do I need to work on? Maybe it's stretching. Maybe it may not be flexibility. Maybe it's, I know that I need to do more cardio. I need to walk like Leslie's doing out in her neighborhood right now, getting her walk in. So it's something that I want you to like, look, we all know where our weakness is with food. It's pretty straightforward. We're not even talking about that tonight. Like food is, for me, it's chocolate, right? You know, I already said it's pizza. You know, that's why I do a training on how to eat pizza and chocolate, because I want to still eat pizza and chocolate. But as far as your weakness from body's age limitations, we have to address them. Does it mean it's going to get fixed and perfect overnight? No. But does it mean that we can't move to improve it? Absolutely. And I would say is it does come from that belief that number one is believing in yourself. If your knees are junky or your back's messed up or you have shoulder limitations, am I saying that I'm some magician and can fix them? No, but we can certainly address them and we can work through it together. So it is something on that is maybe this week as you're talking about, okay, Mark's talking about overcoming my body's age limitations. Wouldn't you think you'd have this? Let's just think about this one for stretching and flexibility for a moment. If you spent the time getting your body to move better through stretching and like foam rolling, maybe some stretching work, warming up your body, going for a walk and doing that more often than not, do you think when you do your workouts that you'll have better success in your workouts? Like everybody can just, I think, can we just all nod our heads? I think that's pretty straightforward. Yeah. Like, so it's kind of like going, I did a video this morning before Facebook turned me off, and I shared the staircase, and I was thinking about you guys tonight because I think how some of you guys have just gotten to the staircase. Some of you are right there. Some of you are stepping on the stair, like stepping up the staircase one step at a time, one day at a time, maybe slipping a little bit, grabbing the handrail, reaching out for me. Some of you guys are maybe a little bit further up the staircase. You got some results, right? And one of the things is there's going to be some weaknesses along the way. There's going to be things. Here's a weakness that you guys may not realize, but I have as a coach. Success in this program can become a weakness. And here's what I mean by that. I've had people lose weight, get feeling awesome, like really fast. Like I had a gentleman lose 18 pounds one month. And he needed to lose about 40 or so, 40 to 50, and he lost 18 pounds in a month. He ended up doing well, but he was like running up the stairs. He couldn't help but trip over himself. And I mean this is what happened. He ended up falling back because he said, oh, well, shoot, this is easy. I don't need to eat healthy. Like I lost the 18 pounds. I can do this. But guess what happens then? That became his weakness. He got those quick results. I'm not saying and telling you not to get fast results. I'm saying that there's going to be weaknesses, and maybe one of them is results. Maybe you're like, Mark, I just want to lose a couple pounds. Maybe your weakness is that you've been fighting the same 5 to 10 pounds for the last 10 or 15 years. And that's ending up becoming your weakness, is that you're giving up too easy. You're doing like, oh, you're trying a little bit. I had one of my students from, he was a senior last year when I was in student ministry, and he just graduated, and he reached out to me and he was asking me, Mark, because he knows I do fitness, and he's 19 years old, 174 pounds, 6 foot tall, soccer player. And he was like, how do I lose my stomach? And he was asking me these questions. And what do you think I was asking him for? His weaknesses. So what are you eating? What are you doing? And he was telling me a couple of things. And I said, well, you probably need to track, like, look at what food you're eating. And he gave me like this kind of, 19-year-old response. And I said, okay. I said, well, why don't you look at the food and start moving forward and look at where and he said, oh yeah, but then, I'll have some beers. And he said, don't tell my mom, but I do have some beers and that kind of stuff. I was like, okay, well, then maybe that's your weakness then. And I don't know what yours is, and you all have different ones, but I want to say is, as far as body's age limitations, if we don't address those limitations together, those weaknesses together, maybe it's mindset, right? I know maybe for a lot of people it could be mindset, but that's number 3, is to tackle your weakness. Number 4 is, here's one, it kind of goes in lines with that, and maybe this is your weakness, is rethink. Number 4 is rethink your recovery and your downtime. So it was interesting when I got turned off with Facebook, because I have a plan, a schedule, and I have a to-do list, and when I do videos, when I post content and all that stuff, and it was kind of turned off today. Like, it literally turned me off. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get on. And I was thinking to myself, maybe God's telling me I need a little downtime. But with regards to your body, do you give your body any downtime? Do you give yourself time to recover? Here's why I want to address this with you guys, because you guys are on a really good path, whether you're just starting or you're 3 months in or maybe a year and a half in. Most of you guys are probably within a year. I think some of you are newer than others. You're recovering downtime. Please know this. The better you get in shape, the more in tune you need to be with your recovery and downtime. It's very important. I had a trainer that worked for me a number of years ago, and he left, and he was a firefighter. And he went the CrossFit route. And I'm not knocking CrossFit. It has its place. And he got the rhabdo because he kept working out, and he was ripped, and he got in great shape, but he didn't give himself the downtime. He was in his 30s. And he got hospitalized from that. So I know that's an extreme level, right? But what happens is, the problem with fitness, and as far as it's going to become your limitation. So how to avoid it is, you got to rethink recovery. The more you start to exercise, the more recovery you need, even if you're still doing 20-minute workouts in 8 months from now, because you're going to work out harder. And that's a good thing. You actually almost want to appreciate your body and your body's ability to recover and get better by recovering properly. And that means getting enough sleep, like we talked about before, getting enough sleep, recovering, doing the stretching, flexibility, maybe taking a day off so that it's not every single day you're working out. Because here's where the results get even better and refined. And I really want this. And again, this all has to do with your body's age limitations and overcoming them. Because what's going to happen if you don't give yourself recovery as you get in better shape? You're going to age more. Your body is going to get older faster. And I'm not going to get into all antioxidants and oxidative process, but when you work out, your body, it starts to, like, there's an oxidative process, right? It's when you're doing things and you're burning up and you start to exercise. And if you don't recover, your body is not going to repair your muscles. Like, okay, let's get a hand raise. Let's put a 1 down in the chat and make sure you guys are still awake. Put a 1 down if you want more muscle on your body. Go ahead, drop a 1 down, just a simple one, so I know you guys are with me. 1, I want to make sure, at least, regardless if you want to lose weight, tell me you want to put some muscle. If not, we're going to have a conversation after, because I don't think there's anybody that doesn't want muscle. doesn't want strong muscle. Why? It protects your body, right? It keeps your metabolism higher. It allows to protect the joints. All the things the aging process was going to try to take you out. And actually, if you're not strong or you don't have those muscles, and here's the thing: if you don't recover, guess what's not going to happen? Your muscles are not going to get better because you're going to be in a state of broken. Your muscles are going to be a state of brokenness, so to speak. Like we're all broken. Like the men and women here in faith, they're broken, and I would say is we're all broken a bit. But our muscles break down when you work out. When you get in better shape, guess what? They break down even more. I say that because I did this I did this routine. I shared a video. It wasn't like doing this. I was actually proud of myself, but I wanted to encourage, inspire. But I did a deadlift. I've been doing some heavy training, and I've been spending 2 years actually prepping myself just to be able to do strength training to this capacity. And I tweaked my back a little bit. And guess who's recovering now from that? But I listened to myself, and I'm not going back at it hard. Today I went light. I'm listening. I'm recovering. I'm going to get enough sleep tonight. My back feels great. And this is over the weekend on Sunday when I did that. So I just wanted to just make sure that you guys are not discounting the importance of recovery and downtime. So I know I didn't have Luch. He's been listening for the whole time. But Luch, tell me a little bit about your recovery. You can get on here. Tell me a little bit about like your recovery and your downtime.
Well, like I said, I'm probably a poor person to ask about that. I am coming from a long distance running background. We had the hard, easy thing. Like you work really hard to the point of super exhaustion one day, and then you recovered. Like whereas on the one day you might be running sprints, doing hard intervals. The next day you're doing LSD, long, slow distance, like really slow, like to just So I do know the reason I suffer from pretty chronic back pain is because I don't rest enough. And yet that's one of my non-negotiable habits is to rest. But I always define rest as active rest. So, Mark, I'm not the good guy to ask. I'm good to ask about consistency, but I'm not good to ask about rest. You're making me feel guilty about resting.
No. I actually appreciate you being open and transparent. And I actually knew that right from the get-go. So I honestly knew that because
one thing I do, and I did this for all three of my sons, and they're all fit. In fact, one of them is Mark's coach. I create an atmosphere of inspiration from when my kids were little. My environment is always one of, I don't have bags of potato chips around and Fritos and Doritos, and I have books like this. I have a book by a 75-year-old called The Master Life Plan. This guy is an old bird. He's older than I am. But I just know where is he? There's a guy, he's 76. He's like, oh, there he is. He's my hero, this guy. I just keep motivation high. I keep myself surrounded by, oh, this is a good one. The law of the garbage truck. I make sure that nobody uses me as a dump truck for their problems. Because I don't want to be dumped on. And that's a part of poor fitness is when you allow other people to put their toxic waste on you, whether it's emotional or physical or what I call DRAs, dirty, rotten attitudes, that affects your physical health. So I try to keep stuff around me that fuels my energy, right, Mark? So
yeah,
that's I have some non-negotiable habits, and the number one for me is my quiet time in the morning with the Lord, and then my second one is exercise, and my third one is people. Like I have an awesome day if I have those three things happening: good quiet time, great workout, and then strategically meet with people who I can give to and who can give to me. Those are my non-negotiable habits. I think that's part of it for me is defining those, and I probably need to add rest in there. So you're making me squeeze a fourth one in there somewhere. I don't know where though.
But I love active rest, and rest doesn't mean like. And I just want to make sure we're clear. I love that he popped in active rest. And I say our lives are just full of busyness. I'm not talking like rest from just working out hardcore all the time, because most all of you aren't doing that anyway. But I'm talking about just rest as in just just being still, just being quiet, like just being okay. The hard thing is, and I find it myself with having teenagers and dog running and business and a whole team of people with all that stuff and all you guys, which I love. I mean, you guys fuel me so much, but it takes a lot out, right? There's a time where we need to press and push and work hard. I'm all for that. I've been taught values of working hard. You guys know this isn't something that I just push a button and you guys get fit. You actually have to do the work. The results you're seeing when you see people dropping weight and having wins. I had a conversation. She's not on here today, but she wouldn't mind. Catherine, she started with me about 6 months ago and she was in a wheelchair. She had already lost about 114 pounds and she spent pretty much 12 hours a day in a wheelchair. And actually, I had a check-in call with her this morning. And right now she's working between 8 and 12-hour days. She's up and working. She has 2 jobs. And you know how she's able to do that? She took action steps. The first thing, we got her starting to believe in herself enough to take those action steps to get out of the chair. She literally 6 months ago, her workouts were walking to the post office and back. That was like a block away. Now she's working in a store and working with her husband on average about 8 to 12 hours a day because she started to take the initiative. She started to be active almost every day. Actually, I think she was active just about every day. She started to tackle her weaknesses. One of hers was her physical weakness. She did not have the ability to really move that well. She lost weight, didn't know how to do that. Her recovery and downtime, we had a conversation about that because she's a little bit like Luch, not really recovering as maybe as much or as needed. The active recovery is okay. Active recovery can be just going for a nice walk. It could be going for a bike ride. Can you imagine if maybe your workouts when you get started are more like your recoveries? My wife and I in the summertime, for the most part, it's still light out now and it's what, 7:43. We in the summertime and when the light changes, we typically just about every night go for at least a 4 to 6 mile bike ride on our beach cruise. A single speed. We're not doing any hardcore. We just go and do it. But that's not our exercise. That's a bit of a recovery. It's like, hey, how was your day? Instead of maybe going for a walk, we like to get on our beach cruisers and go down to the beach and then just kind of finish our night. We're able to do that because we've been active almost every day for the last 20 years. I mean, that's pretty much what we've been pursuing. And I think that's what I want to get at us. Now, the fifth one, and I think actually this one, I think we can all attest, and I know it comes up. I was stressed today. I'm going to be honest with you. I knew I moved this to Tuesday and I'm like, oh no, now I can't stream it. And Facebook and my team, we were scrambling and there was stress. And number 5, as far as your body's age limitations, is dealing with your tension in your life, dealing with the stress. Now, I'm not a like a psychotherapist, but I've worked with a few thousand people for the past 26 years. All I've done was work with people on their health journey, but their health journey usually gets kind of in the way from all the other junk going on in their life. And a lot of that brings on stress and tension. And I know for a fact that we had this conversation, we talked about hormones and we talked about stress. We talked about cortisol levels that do play a role in trying to get healthier, but they also play a role in how quickly you age. You ever meet somebody? Now, can I tell you one of the coolest ladies that I ever met was that 104-year-old Mrs. Ramazzotti. She was a little 4'0" Italian lady. Her grandsons owned a butcher shop in New York City. She lived in a 4th floor walk up and she fell and broke her hip and she had to go into the nursing home after her hip replacement. And she had the stress in her life was minimal. And I would say she had a little glass of red wine at night in the nursing home. They made sure she had one of those little tiny glasses. And she said, I had fresh food. And she just talked about being active, talked about life, like things that I think maybe now we were so busy, we forget about just normal living, like just regular living. If we're able to do that these days, right? It's almost kind of a sin to do normal living these days. But I would say is to understand with the stress. Why I put that one as the 5th one is think about the other 4. If you don't believe in yourself enough, guess what? There's going to be stress. You're going to be stressed to some extent. Active almost every day. If you're stressed out, I like to I went and did a workout today because I was stressed and I felt good. I know that's not what happens to everybody, but when you get there, it's awesome. I'm just going to tell you, if you're not there, if you're like, oh no, like when I get stressed, I go for a power walk or I get on a bike or I want to maybe get on some boxing gloves or I want to do a workout and really push a workout. And I know many of you may not be there yet, but I'll tell you what, it really helps the stress. Endorphins, you guys heard of those, right? One of the things when I worked in a hospital for special surgery in New York, and I worked in spine and root, you want to hear the power of, now this all has to do with your body's age limitations. So please hear me out on this. This is all relevant. When I worked in spine and rheumatology, we worked with patients that would come in outpatient, and it was attached to the hospital. We had people with spine surgeries and rheumatoid arthritis and pain, back pain, crazy. Sometimes we couldn't do anything. But what we could do is get them moving on an exercise machine, on a treadmill, on like one of the, they called it a new step, where they could sit and move their arms and legs. And I'll tell you what, sometimes for some of those patients, that was their only therapy, and that was enough to get them feeling better. Because why? And produce these endorphins in your body. You know, you guys think maybe I get all this energy from all the caffeine. I drink some coffee. Honestly, the energy comes from partly maybe genetics, but I think also I have this energy because I had a great workout today. I feel good from exercising. When you feel good more so than you don't feel good, guess what? You feel good through your life, you're going to have less stress. I don't even care what kind of stress it is. I had a student that's in here. She's not here tonight. And she had 8 family members pass away in the last year. I'm just sharing with you, there's stress. People have stress. Like, I know there's some of you that are taking care of elderly parents. There's stress. But here's the thing. I know, because I'm gonna do it too, because my parents, they're stressed there. Like, we have some stress. Like, can I get an amen? There's family stress, and I get it. But I'll tell you what, if you're looking at age limitations, you allowing that stress to get the best of you is going to age you quicker. It's going to age you quicker. So I want to encourage you in this time, those 5 things, these limitations. Believe in yourself enough to basically to take care of yourself. That's more or less what I'm saying. Be active almost every day, as much as you possibly can. If you want to get in the phase of being like active rest, like Luch, or get to a phase where you're feeling strong, you have great workouts, and you just take a day off and you feel great about that day off that you take. Tackling your weaknesses, that's where you and I will work together. You have a coach that has a lot of experience in helping people through limitations and weaknesses. Maybe food is your weakness and that's your focus right now. But when it comes to your body and exercise, we will tackle that as well. Maybe it's, I know I had somebody, as one of you, who's working out, and we changed the workout schedule to 3 or 4 times a day to do short little bouts of workouts. And that is what we're trying now. So again, that may be the weakness that you need to work through, is to be able to do that. And then recovery and downtime, super, super important. And like I said, these are big, broader pictures tonight. These are the things I want to make sure you have an overall feeling of understanding. Because then one of you is going to come to me like, Mark, yeah, I'm crushing these workouts. They're great. Give me more. I want more. I want more. I'm like, okay, tell me your recovery. Oh, well, sleeping 4 or 5 hours. I kind of get up in the middle of the night, and I was like, I'm real busy at work. It's really, really busy. I'm stressed and all that. I'm like, well, you're not going to get in better shape if you do more exercise. You can think that it's going to get you better, but it really isn't going to do. That's maybe your strength. Let's work on your weakness. Let's work on that quiet, that downtime. And then guess what? When you get those 5 things dialed in, I said these are strategies. These are more or less bigger picture items. Your limitations are going to be minimal when you have these things dialed in, for sure. So I want to leave this. I know we got a few minutes. Anybody have any thoughts? And feel free to unmute yourself. We got 10 minutes. I know I said we'd be open, but of course I end up getting talking. I get inspired. But based on what we first talked about, the fears of aging, let's just real quick, and then you can open up the mic, and if you guys want to turn off the mute. But think of the 5 things I talked about, and think of loss of independence, declining health. Well, maybe not the running out of money. Well, maybe. Well, here's the thing. If you're in better shape and you're healthier, you potentially can work more or can have a longer opportunity to earn more money. So it is somewhat related. Not being able to live at home, there's one. Independence goes back to that. Well, death of a spouse or loved one or other family member, maybe not as much directly, indirectly. Inability to manage your ADLs, your activities of daily living. Not being able to drive, again, that has to do with your physical limitations. Isolation and loneliness, strangers caring for them, and then fear of falling and getting hurt. Out of those 10 fears of aging, wouldn't you think some of these 5 things that we talked about tonight could help, and those 10 things that you may have come up down the road when it comes to the fear of aging? It's a thought. So I'd love for you guys. It was a great Zoom meeting. Thanks for the great info. Yeah, gotcha. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Feel free to open up their mute.
Mark, can I share just one quote that really, I think, sums up a lot of what you said?
Yeah.
I'm just going to put it down in the chat. That way, if people want to take a picture of it. I just retired, but I call it refired. I read a book called Thrive in Retirement. And what this guy said was, okay, it's not coming up, but I'll just read it to you.
Oh, do you want me to do
It says,
screen share?
You know what? Let me read it and then I'll give it to you and you can send it to them.
Sure.
Just a sec. Right here it is. Oh, I can do a screen share. Yeah, can you do a screen share? That'd be great.
Yeah.
I got it in my email.
You got it.
Okay, I gotta just open my email up here. Okay, here it is. Yeah, can you see that? You can't see it. I can see it.
I can see it.
It says, ARP is a prolific source of information about aging. This organization, representing a membership of 38 million people, advocates for adults 50 and over, which we be most of us, I guess. The CEO of ARP put her finger on the primary factor that determines your health. Are you ready for this? You. The saying used to be that the final secret to long, healthy life was to choose your parents well. But today we know that only about 20% of a person's health is due to genetics, and about 20% is due to the medical care we receive. The other 60 is due to social, behavioral, and environmental factors, many of which can and do influence by the choices we make throughout our lives. What we eat, how much and what kinds of exercise we do, where we live, the quality of our relationships, whether we smoke, and our ability to handle stress. Your private thoughts, your desires, and actions are the driving force that determine how good and how long your life will be from this point forward. By ARP's estimates, 60% of your thriving throughout the remainder of your life depends on YOU. With that in mind, you can see why famed Italian actress Sophia Loren argued there actually is a fountain of youth. It's inside you. There is a fountain of youth. It's your mind, your talents, the creativity you bring to your life and the lives of the people you love. So stop share. What do you think of that? Isn't that powerful?
Yeah.
We hold the fountain of youth right in here. And I think part of it is identifying what's getting in the way of you, of the you of you that wants to be well out. And that's Mark's job, to help you figure out, like, what are the obstacles? What's getting in the way? What's hindering progress? And not doing the BMW thing.
I know. Anybody else know what the BMW thing is? I know what it is.
Me moan and whine.
Yeah,
and whine.
I would say is one thing.
You can spend your whole life spiraling down, right? And just have to say, just define where you are. Let Mark help you do that, and then let's move from there. Right?
Yeah. The one thing I can say, and I know the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, is, and I know you guys don't spend. You might be seeing a live I did with Vince a while back. We did a couple of them in the past. And when I say this, as far as who you have coaching you, is being coached by guys like Luch and guys like Vince. And one of the things that I'm learning and have learned from my coaches, and I have a number of them, the inside and so forth, so on, is that we truly are only as strong as our weakest link in life. And a lot of times our weakest link is us. And it's kind of crazy, because when I came into Vince's mastermind, before I had this kind of Zoom training and the kind of program I had, I thought I felt like my ceiling was here, about as how successful, how many people I can reach, and how much I can help people improve and get better in the online space. I had no idea. And then I met somebody who basically, I always say this, he ripped the ceiling right off of my potential. And my goal is not just to help you lose weight, not just to help you get in better shape, but I want to rip the ceiling off your potential in life. Now, yes, you have to take care of your business and your family relationships and all that kind of junk. Like, that's not my role. You didn't hire me for that. But if I can help improve your body's ability to withstand stress and to be able to take care of feeling confident when you put your work clothes on in the morning, or when you go on vacation and put a bathing suit on, or when you're intimate with your spouse, or when you see people around you who are taking crappy care of themselves and you're proud because you chose to work out and you chose to eat healthy, like that's what you're hiring me for. So when I say that, is I want to remove as many body limitations as I can. And these 5 things that we talked about tonight, in addition to having, just so you guys know, I have amazing coaches, Luch being one of them. And I know I only had him talk a little bit, but I meet with him on a weekly basis. I talk to Vince. I have coaches. The biggest thing, and I can tell you that I've seen in coaching space and all business and fitness, the only way you're going to really limit yourself is when you give up. If you stop, if you give up. I've seen plenty of people come in my program and they give up on themselves before they even give themselves a chance to actually win at this. Do me a favor, do not, like, if we can just put in down below, or you can do the little hand up, is just promise me, even if you end up whatever point stopping this, just promise you're not going to give up on yourself. Like, that's all I ask. You give up on yourself, then guess what? Then all the limitations are going to start flowing. I can tell you that. And I want to encourage you tonight in this simple strategies to overcome your body's age. Are we going to die at some point? Yeah, 100% chance, right? We're all going to die. But let's go out freaking guns blazing. Like, let's go out on top. Let's go out with our bodies in the best shape ever. Let's go out like Mrs. Ramazzotti. She used to flirt with me at 104. She actually would pretend she was on the other side of the room, and I was in my 20s. She would pretend that she was falling so that I'd come run over and grab her. That was like, I want to be that. If I make it to 104, heck, if I make it to 64, I want to go out guns blazing. And the only way to do that is we got to look at our limitations and try to actually attack them. We have to actually be intentional about the time that we spend with our body, because it's the only one you get to live with through life. Does that make sense? All right, thank you. Promise I won't give up. Drop it down right now before we go, and that's it for tonight's training. Just promise you're not going to give up. Luch, what you got?
No, I said
you're out.
I was promising.
Your promise. I just put your hand up. I promise. You're not going to give up. All right, there we go.
Somebody bought the law of the garbage truck. That's great. Somebody bought the law of the garbage truck.
Awesome. Yeah, Luch has got me into reading.
You're not a garbage container. Mark had a great analogy from church a couple of weeks ago. He said his pastor was on the stage and he dropped his phone on the hard platform, and he said, "You all think it broke, don't you?" But it didn't, because it's got a cover on it. We cover everything, but he said our souls need to be protected. And I guess we could apply that to our bodies too. We need to protect our bodies. And I think that was a great metaphor, Mark. Just I've been thinking about that for a week now. Just so
I was
good.
thinking that too. I've been thinking every time I grab my phone, I'm like, we have protection over our phones, and yet we fail to protect our own souls and ourselves and our minds and our bodies and stuff. It's something to maybe finish off tonight. Awesome. Yeah. Hey guys, that's all I got for tonight. It is 8 o'clock. I make sure it's no later than 8. And I'll tell you what, I got one little tidbit. I'm going to let you know, Michael will be transferring, just so you guys know, moving forward till we get Facebook back up, and you got access on the app to me, and then we'll communicate because he has access in through Facebook. I'm hoping it'll be resolved in the next day or so. So just bear with me and your patience. I appreciate it. And that's it for tonight. You guys take care. Showing up too. Appreciate it.
Good night.
Good night. It was great. Thank you.
Good night. Good night, Lynette.
Have a good night. That was really, really good, and I needed that.
All right. Have a good night, Sherry.
Thank you.